Hello, welcome to the Nerd Circuit. I'm Chris,
I'm Nick.
and we are going to talk today about games and movies.
So the first thing we're going to start talking about is ourselves, to introduce ourselves. My name is Nick, and we go to Full Sail
Yes, Nick is going over to the...
Recording Arts.
I'm doing the Game Art 3D Arts program.
So what Recording Arts does, it's basically you do sound design, engineering for like recording studios and stuff like that, which I prefer to do my own work because it would be nice to go do like studio work, but I think doing it yourself is kind of fun.
Which is why we're doing the podcast, is so you can get a little extra experience too, right?
Yeah, just to get like myself going and stuff like that.
Yeah. Anything helps, right?
Yeah, that's true. I've always wanted to start a podcast, so like this is something new.
Oh yeah, it's definitely new. I don't think either of us have ever done this before.
No.
So, I guess question for you involving Recording Arts, do you mainly do music, or do you do sound effects, or what kind of do you want to do with that?
I prefer to do sound effects and vocal tracking.
Okay.
So what I would do is I would do behind, like in a studio, to do vocals for post-production stuff.
Okay.
So I can make it like to sound it, put the picture, like you have a picture, and then I would do the audio to make sure everything lines up.
Okay.
With all the audio, like with the film and stuff.
Nice. So what kind of inspired you to go this direction?
Do you remember like those old behind the scenes kind of like DVDs that they used to come out with?
You'd watch them after you're
Yeah.
watching the movie so you could keep watching TV.
Yes. I watched Madagascar. I watched the behind the tour scenes, and I went there.
Uh-huh.
I didn't go there.
You didn't go to Madagascar.
No. But I watched it, and I was like, man, this is what I want to do for a living.
Yeah.
But then I fell out of it for a little bit, and then I went to Full Sail, and I did the behind the scenes, and I was like, sign me up.
Yeah. And you started at Full Sail August of 2019, correct?
Yes, on the 5th.
Yeah. We both started at the same time, so just to clarify there, we're both in school at the same time. We've been at it the same amount of time, just different programs.
That's how we started.
Yeah, and so started off with Madagascar. Do you want to do movies, or do you want to do games more? Or like you said, you want to kind of do your own thing? What do you...
Animation. Like shorts and stuff like that. Like I would work with a small team that do shorts, and I'll just do all the sound effects and vocals for them.
Okay.
My main dream right now is to work at Rooster Teeth and work on the Ruby that came out, Red versus Blue, some other stuff that they do. So
the more animation side of their team. And that'd be pretty cool to work there. I mean, they're pretty big. But it's definitely not a small company.
No, well,
it's
technically it still kind of is, just a little bit. They're not doing like, they're still on the platforming of
true.
The internet. Like, they're not like big as Fox or Disney, stuff like that.
Yeah. They're definitely getting bigger. They definitely made a name for themselves in the past however many years.
They have their site, and then they have their and then YouTube. They're all over the place, like right now with their podcasts, their shorts and stuff.
So why Rooster Teeth?
You've heard of the show called Red vs. Blue?
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've watched it so many times with me and my brother, and I was like, man, I would love to work for these guys.
Well, it's to the point where I think your Discord name has to do with one of their characters.
All my names that I have that I go with is one of those characters, and his name is Michael J. Caboose, and he's an idiot, and I can relate to him.
It's true, folks.
he's kind of an idiot, but like there are times where he's like super like kind of intelligent, but like they don't make sense.
Like little bursts of intelligence there.
So what about you?
I'm doing 3D art. I really like creating things. Before I came back to school, I was doing woodworking and construction jobs because I enjoyed working with my hands and building things. But it was just taking a little too much out of me. And I would always draw on the side. I tried to improve my art skills, and from when I kind of started drawing in about 6th, 7th grade to now, I practiced a lot on my own to kind of build what my art skill is now. I'm not the best painter or drawer, or sketcher, or anything like that, but I've worked really hard to get to where I'm at, to the point where I realized, hey, I want to do video games, especially because games I've played like Dishonored or Borderlands and their creative art styles have inspired me to kind of try and do the same thing.
Right. So what do you like to draw mostly, like on your free time?
When I do have free time, I do enjoy drawing flowers, looking up pictures of flowers and just kind of painting it on my iPad. I use my iPad a lot more than traditional mediums. I've gotten really good. I've got plenty of pictures of flowers I've done. I've even done a few landscapes. I've tried my hand at some concept designs. It's not my forte to be able to draw kind of those hard surface models.
Right.
But when it comes to 3D, I am much better at doing the hard surface. I don't do as well with the sculpting. I focus more on kind of that hard surface and texturing side of things.
Right. So what decided you to go back to school, like, mainly?
Just because the woodworking, I mean, I wanted to make furniture for the longest time, but I wasn't really going anywhere with it. And it was 6-7 years ago, it was kind of a decision between making video games and doing woodworking. And the woodworking won out first because my art skills weren't that strong and I didn't really think I could make something of myself with it. But then as the years went on, I did some practice. I'm like, I really think I could do this. So I applied to a few different schools, sent out my resume, sent out portfolios, ended up at Full Sail because they had both a kind of quicker program, because I'm 26 and I don't want to be in school forever. No, and it was a little bit cheaper.
Right.
It's a good program though. It's something that I think Full Sail, a big part of it, because they do it quickly. You have to be focused. You have to be on the ball constantly.
Yeah. No free days. Like.
Yeah.
Except for the weekends, if you get a free weekend. But
yeah, but you got to make sure all your work's done.
So woodworking made you kind of realize that I don't want to do this for very long, kind of type thing. Did it like help you see your vision?
Yeah, because I mean it was creative. I got to be creative. I made some cool things, but it just didn't have a lot of structure for a lifestyle for me, because I couldn't quite balance doing the woodworking while doing my regular job, while trying to learn, while trying to run a side business all at once, especially where I was living at the time. Nobody really bought into that. Mm-hmm. So, but it definitely gave me that foundation of thinking creatively, thinking kind of how this would fit, how this would look in the world, how it would compare to other things around it, kind of get a style guide and understand how that different styles fit into each other, which goes right into art, because I mean different companies have their different style guides, different way they do their art, and you got to kind of figure that out.
And what's your favorite company?
I really want to work for Arcane once I'm done with school. I really love Dishonored games. I really like Prey. I'm excited for the new one that's coming out, Deathloop. That one looks really good. It's the art style's a little bit different than Prey and Dishonored.
Right.
But the way they tell their stories is also amazing, which a lot of my ideas come from stories I've created in my mind.
Yeah, they are really heavily story based.
Yes.
Like, even though they're their detailing to the characters and like their atmosphere and stuff like that. I think it's really good for you.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to see where it goes. I mean, school's going really well for me, so right. I'm excited, and hopefully we'll end up there one day.
Same. So that's us. That's us. Of ourselves.
Us in a nutshell.
Yeah.
It's our first time.
Yeah. So let's talk about like games. So there's that Cyberpunk.
Yes, everyone's talking about Cyberpunk right now, and we couldn't really not talk about it because we both want to play it.
The first time that I've seen Cyberpunk was 7 years ago on YouTube with the first teaser, and I was like, man, when is this coming out? Because it's really good, like because of the little trailer.
Yes, yeah, and I mean that was a long time ago. We so much has changed in gaming and everything going on. I think its first commercial came out before the PS4 or Xbox One were even out.
Yes.
So I mean it's been a long time, but what's coming out of it, it's looking like it's going to be a really good game.
Single player, stuff like that.
I mean they came out The Witcher, and a bunch of people love The Witcher. They thought it had great storytelling. I know you're not as big a fan of it.
I do like the art style, but like I'm not like medieval games are not my favorite.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and that's understandable. But the company making CD Projekt Red they really know what they're doing. I mean they've been making games that are critically acclaimed for years. I mean,
when did Witcher 3 come out?
The Witcher 3, I think it came out shortly after the PS4 and Xbox One.
So back
came
in
out.
Like 13, 14?
I want to say 14, yeah.
14, yeah.
It's been out about as long.
It's been out for 6 years, and it's still one of the best selling games right now.
Oh yeah, they just came out with the port for the Switch not too long ago because people wanted to play it on their Switch.
Play it on the go, you know?
Yeah, exactly. So, imagine what they're doing with, they're completely switching gears, too. Going from a medieval game where they've been doing kind of that medieval feel for a little while now with the Witcher games. I think they made the first two. But they're switching gears from medieval to completely sci-fi. Right. And, if you've seen the artwork for this game, it's gorgeous. It looks so good.
Yeah, I was really impressed, like, on the detailing of like the gameplay, and I was like, "Whoa!" It's coming out for the Xbox One, right, and the PS4, or is it going to the next gen?
I think it's coming out for PS4 and Xbox One, yeah, but then they're probably gonna have it come out for the PS5 and Xbox, whatever the next Xbox is. Sorry, I'm not as big of an Xbox fan.
Well. You got one Xbox player, one PS4 player, so we'll tell you
it balances itself out.
Yeah,
right?
True. So you have the Xbox Series. So like, I don't know why they named it the Series because
I did not know it was the Series. No wonder I didn't know the name. That's not a great name.
No, it's not. But it's gonna give that competing edge to PS4,
Oh yeah, they're also realizing they need to compete with PC. I know they've tried stepping up their specs there, but we'll see what comes out of it here.
Yeah, so I'm hoping once like the two consoles come out and see how good both of them are when they run either Halo, Cyberpunk, what's another good one?
I'm trying to think what else is coming out with those. PlayStation and Xbox both had an extensive list of games coming out.
They had Forza Motorsports.
Yeah, you got Forza and Gran Turismo both coming out for their respective systems, and they're gonna be competing against each other for sure.
Yeah, they're looking better than they used to be because when I played 4, it was kind of like a downgrade. But once you play like 1 and stuff like that,
they really try to push the realism in those racing games because that's what people want to see because they want it to feel real, and they've really been pushing it the past few years.
Right, and I feel like that they're going to push it to the edge.
From the commercial of the in-game for both of them that I saw, they're really pushing
to the limit. So, talk about Cyberpunk again. So, you've read more into this.
A little bit. I keep up on my Game Informer reading, and I look up news on games every once in a while. Do it more now since we're starting the podcast. But from what I've seen from it, I'm excited to play. It seems, I mean, it's a game you'd imagine would be very customizable, and it seems like they're really pushing that, which is awesome.
To the characters, to the weapons, to
even the setting where can start. Oh. They give you 3 options for starting, right?
Yes.
Remember, it was the you can
Outlander,
start the Outlander, the Corporate, or the Street Kid.
Yes.
I mean, and each one has its own individual story, increasing that playability.
Right. If you had to choose, what would you do first?
I'm kind of leaning more towards the Street Kid.
Right.
That seems like it would be kind of fun to play because you get to start in the city.
Yeah.
Kind of work your way up from there. How about you?
I would start like as a corporate. I would see like how everything would do from the top, and then like I feel like it would crumble down a little bit because like nothing lasts forever.
Oh yeah.
At the top, so.
Kind of the feel I got from each one was you're kind of doing somebody who's maybe a corporate spy who kind of, like you said, starts at the top and falls. Or you start as somebody who starts at the bottom on the streets and the gangs, and you got to work your way up. Right. And then the Outlanders sound kind of like the outsiders, the outcasts, who live a little bit differently and do their own thing, but at the same time still have to get involved with the rest of the world.
Right.
So it's kind of the feeling I got from it. Anyway.
It's more like Far Cry 5 feel, like, you know how you're out in the doors and stuff like that. I feel like if you were to choose that, I feel like you'd have more of a, like, advantage out there.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like from what I watched and read. I mean, it seems like either way you're going to end up in the city more often than not, but that one seems like you do get to spend a little more time outside the city, which gives you that incentive to explore outside.
Yeah, to give the feel of the show that what they live.
Yeah,
Instead, like, city folk are different than the outsider folk, and the folk that are trying to go in are kind of like, this new whole thing.
No, and I mean, just looking at the weapons, what I'm excited about is the mantis arms from that first commercial. The chick that had those praying mantis arms. It's actually going to be in there, and I mean, the guns are customizable. I mean, you get the standard ones: scopes, silencers, all that fun stuff. But you also get to change kind of what they do. It's kind of like playing Borderlands, but you actually get to change what your weapons do yourself instead of having to hunt down and find the weapons.
Right. Like, can you buy them, or are they scattered everywhere?
I think it's probably a little bit of both, if I had to guess.
Kind of like GTA kind of style, like where you can go to a gun shop, purchase it, and stuff like that.
But if you find it on the street, you can pick it up and use it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it's an RPG game. They give you all those standard feel to it with the uncommon, common, rare, and legendary type labeling on the weapons, so you got to be able to find ones throughout the world.
Do you think this is going to be able to beat out like a little bit of GTA because due to them not making the sixth game? Because
yes.
It like between like GTA and I guess I know that they're trying to milk it out with 5, but I feel like they kind of like it's been like 6-7 years now since they made 5.
I mean, GTA and Skyrim, they've been milking those 2 games for years.
Right.
I mean, they came out with 2 new Fallouts within the time that Skyrim's been out.
Right,
but then again, you look at Skyrim, you also think they've probably been focusing a lot more on online.
The online one? Yeah.
Elder Scrolls Online.
Yeah, I played that game. Really, really fun until you get to the like end game kind of stuff, because then it starts downfall because you got to really grind for the champion points to get like higher.
Well, I'm sure it's got its ups and its downs.
Yeah, the game's fun, looks beautiful in my eyes, even though it's potato graphics.
I mean, it's an online game. It's an
Right.
MMO. It's gonna be a little bit downgraded on that because they have to render everything out a little bit more.
Well, if you look at the new Call of Duty game,
Yeah.
it looks that's a multiplayer game.
Warzone.
Yeah, a Warzone multiplayer.
I mean, Warzone would be the one I'm thinking because it's got the big map.
Yeah, and
So
then-
it kind of makes sense. I mean, even those graphics aren't comparable to a game like Cyberpunk.
yeah,
that's-
Cyberpunk. It's got that 4K.
Oh yeah, and a lot of that's because of you don't have as many people to render to at the same time and have one big map. You could just kind of do either the field of view or a level at a time, which I mean that's how they do it. I think other than that, there's not many other big games coming out right now. They had Ghost of Tsushima here recently.
Have you played that yet?
I haven't. College student, don't have a lot of money, can't really get it right now. It's on my wish list. From what I've seen, it's a gorgeous game. It's beautiful. I want to play it. I really liked their other games. I loved Infamous. Sucker Punch did a really great job with that. They also did Sly Cooper. Those were fun games.
Yes, that was my childhood. PlayStation 2. You know how you played PlayStation 2 and
Oh, yeah.
you had those memory graphic cards.
Yeah.
So back in my day, I used to be like not
Back
really
in my day.
Back in the day, I wasn't like financially stable enough, like because like my dad was
child.
and I was a child, and my dad worked in the military, so like we moved every 2 years. So when we got the PS2, we didn't get the graphics card, the game saving cards, and the mission was to beat it within a day. But half the time it was in my sister's room, so we couldn't really play it, and I always got mad because couldn't beat the game because I had to get out of a room.
That's funny. Yeah, you can't really play your game if you can't save it, right?
I beat Crash Bandicoot in one day. That was fun. The Spiral kind of spin off, like with the
It's sequels on sequels.
yeah,
Sequels that ended up going back to the original
the remastered stuff.
after they did all of the Skylanders stuff. No, the game I grew up playing was Ratcheted Clank. I really liked that one.
I never got to play that because my parents were like strict with the whole you're too young to play that kind of game.
It wasn't even that bad. I mean, the most you got every once in a while was an innuendo you didn't even understand as a child. I mean, the titles alone were innuendos that, I mean, mostly as a child you wouldn't even know. They were fun games though. I'm excited to see the new one. I'm happy they're going in a little different direction with the story than with the first remake, which was really just a remake. It wasn't terrible.
Which one?
Ratchet Clank. They remade it for the PS5. Came out with the movie.
I heard it was okay.
It was okay. It was,
but it wasn't
a
as
remake.
best. It wasn't as like the weapon system was kind of like they kind of downgraded it just a little bit, like to the original, and I was like, oh man.
What I want is them to get the weapon system that they had in Ratchet Deadlocked.
Yes.
That one was great because you could mod those weapons, and that game was just fun. I enjoyed Ratchet Deadlocked a lot.
Have you ever played Rayman?
I played the 2D side-scroller one that came out a little while ago.
Right.
2D side-scroller platformers aren't really my thing.
Like Tarya kind of thing.
Yeah, my hand-eye coordination isn't the best. I love video games, but I will never say I'm an expert at them. You know this because I've been trying to play Dark Souls recently.
Yes, and it's gone bad.
Fun. I enjoy the game, but I'm terrible at it.
Couldn't even beat the first boss.
Yeah, no, it was not good. No, but they're fun. They're fun to play. I just can't do it.
And with like you can get practice because like the new Demon Souls that's coming out. I think they're remaking it or they're actually remastering it. I think.
No, I think it's a complete remake.
just a renewed
it's
game.
new game. I mean, it is based on Demon's Souls. I don't think they're remastering it, as far as I could tell.
Are they gonna still have the same characters, bosses?
Probably. I mean, the most they showed about. I've never actually played Demon's Souls. I've only played the Dark Souls games. One I saw that I was excited about to try was Mortal Shell. It's a Souls-like, but it looked like it was a little different and like you possess people and get to play as them. Did you see anything about Mortal Shell?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you'll have to check that one out. The other one I liked was the one I've been playing too is Remnant from the Ashes. Have you seen that one?
No, and I feel like I think I wanted to play that just a little bit. I think I've seen it a little bit, but
It's fun. It's kind of Souls-like, but it's a little bit different. I mean, more different than just the guns.
Oh yeah, I did see that.
Yeah.
I did see that, and I was on
fun.
Twitter the other day, and I saw someone like have like a clip of it. I was like, man, I really want to get that game.
It's hard. I mean, you got to learn to conserve ammo with some of that stuff, but at the same time, they're dropping ammo like crazy. But even the kind of saving system's a little different. You go in and you go to the places, but it puts you to a dungeon more so than it just sends you to different areas of the map. At least that's where I'm at right now. I just started it.
And where's this place at? I know it's more of an apocalyptic kind of scenario.
Yeah.
But like, where's it placed? Like, based on?
It's like kind of based in a 1960s-ish other world, alternate universe. But at the same time, you get to hop around different universes.
Right.
And fight different enemies in different universes. So
That'd
it's
be cool.
Yeah, it's really fun. You'll have to check it out. As for movies, we did want to talk a little about some of the movies coming out too.
We did, but so Black Widow, right? Like, you know, like after, like, I don't understand why they did that before, like after the fact they did Endgame. You know what I'm saying? But are they gonna go back like into? Like,
Oh yeah, it's back in time. It's I can't remember. I know it was back in time though. It's before after she joined SHIELD, but before the event of most of the other events.
Like the Black Widow program, like when Hydra kind of made. Was it Hydra or was it?
It was just the Russian KGB.
KGB, like they did with the Winter Soldier program.
Yeah. So, I mean, the basis of the movie, I think, if I'm thinking correctly, it takes place like probably early 2000s before Spider-Man and all that. Kind of just to give her more story because they killed her off.
Spoilers.
If you haven't seen the Avengers movies,
if you don't have Disney Plus, spend $8. Like, it's great.
Just go watch it really quick. Get it over with. If you're not interested, spoiler alert, we're ruining it for you, but you're not interested anyway.
That part at the end, like when they were fighting each other, Hawkeye and Black Widow were fighting to see. I was like, man, just let Hawkeye just die.
Just let Hawkeye die. Yeah. They weren't gonna kill him. He had to get back home to his family.
I know, and I understand that, and I'm like, oh, they did my man dirty.
How did they do your man dirty? You're the one who wanted him to die.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're wrong. You're just wrong. No, it looks interesting though. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how they bring Taskmaster into the universe.
Oh, so they are bringing Taskmaster.
Yeah, he's the villain. Yeah, no, it's all about Taskmaster versus Black Widow.
And so with the Widow thing and like the Endgame. So you know how I rewatched it the other day.
Yeah.
Endgame, and I was like, man, I really got emotional when Iron Man kind of like said the line, "I am Iron Man," and kind of used the Infinity Stones.
And then died.
And then dies. I'm like, dude, that hurt.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Because I was like, this is my superhero, right? You know? Like, Spider-Man's our hero. Iron Man. Wolverine. Like, those are my, like, top 3 kind of, like, Marvel characters.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like the Marvel movies to an extent. I think they are just milking them out. Disney's just milking the money out of them at this point.
I wouldn't think. Well, they haven't made a new besides Spider-Man. New Spider-Man movie that came out with Mysterio.
Yeah, it has been a little while since their last movie came out.
So I don't feel like they have been milking it out. But you know what they've been milking out was Star Wars.
And the same thing. That's why they're not making any more movies for a little while, because the last few haven't gotten great reception. I mean, over time, you kind of look back at a couple of these movies they made, and honestly, to me, I watch Force Awakens. Far too many parallels with A New Hope. It's the creativity was kind of lost, I think.
Yeah, right after like Empire Strikes Back, kind of went downhill with the.
I mean, you talk to just about anyone, and I mean the prequels were not accepted or really taken on very well, but these last three have gotten worse. People, at least from what I've talked to people, a lot of people were kind of unhappy with the way it went.
Right.
I mean, you got to understand it was never going to go the way of the books, right? But
right.
At the same time, they didn't adhere to the fans, which is what you have to do. I mean, they are their fans. If you want to draw the fans back, you got to still make them happy.
You really want to draw from the comics, to be fair, that they've been making. Even
then, you're still going to come up with some different material.
No, and I get that. And like Rey the actor that did Rey kind of was really good.
She did well.
Finn was a kind of a throwaway character due to him always screaming Rey, which I think they could have led on to it more.
They could have either built that relationship more, because they kind of just let it die.
Yeah, towards the ending of Rise of Skywalker, because they're like,
they should have let him sacrifice himself at the end of Last Jedi. He would have been a martyr, he would have been a hero, and he would have saved them. But Rose, another kind of throwaway character, which is, I know, a very controversial topic, but it just wasn't. The characters weren't well written. Even Poe, I mean, he wasn't in the first movie very much. He was in it for the very beginning, presumed to have died, and then came back at the very end with very, very, very little character development.
No.
And then in the next two movies, they like boost him up like he's really big, even though he wasn't. And I love Oscar Isaacs. Oscar Isaacs is a great actor, in my opinion.
I do agree, but like at the same time, they kind of really downgraded him through the first movie, because even though he's in the new like Star Wars the
TV show,
yeah, there's
Resistance.
Resistance.
Star Wars Resistance, yeah.
They do have him as a character like now and then.
Yeah.
But even then, you still don't get like a full like understanding of where his character goes.
That's what a lot of Star Wars has always been. It's been more than just the Force, and it's about the character development, about the story, and they didn't do that. They just kind of slapped some people in there and had them running around doing random things that didn't really seem to affect anything.
No.
I mean, the good guys were going to win eventually anyway. I mean, Palpatine coming back was ridiculous. I wasn't a huge fan.
But he said the Force works in the dark side works in the mysterious ways.
Great. And, I mean, you looked at it. I mean, you could say this with most stuff, but it pulled a lot of source material from kind of Dune. Like, it heavily relied on the Dune series for some of their end game there, when she finally meets the Emperor and is like, everybody flows through you, and it was like,
and you're my granddaughter. I'm like,
come on,
bro,
we need a little bit better surprise. If Star Wars is supposed to be all about those surprises and twists here and there, which it's kind of not entirely. Yeah, it's just one point.
The only surprise that happened was when Luke, I think it was Empire Strikes Back, is when Darth Vader cuts Luke Skywalker's hand off. Because, like, George Lucas decided, let's do a plot twist. We'll make him the father.
And nobody knew that.
No one knew.
Not even Mark Hamill knew it up until that scene.
Yeah, and I was like, so because he was supposed to say, "I killed your father," and Anakin Skywalker. I was like, oh wow, and he was like, "I am your father."
What I really think, Empire is the best one. So many people enjoyed it. It was a little bit different because the good guys didn't necessarily win. They lost battle after battle after battle, which again is why The Last Jedi kind of just copied Empire, because they lost battle after battle after battle. It was just the same thing over and over again.
Right.
Which is never good, but Star Wars, the best way they redeemed themselves, I think in a lot of ways, was through their TV shows. Through the Clone Wars and the Mandalorian.
And you see, like, when they reference the Clone Wars, and then you're like, oh, I don't know this. And then you realize there's there's a whole another TV series about it, like a whole new series. And I'm like, dang.
Yeah.
But it isn't about, like, the whole entire Jedi. It's all about two people. Well, three. Obi-Wan, Anakin, and his apprentice, Ahsoka. So, like, you really go, but you follow a more like Ahsoka's story when she was with Anakin.
In a lot of ways, yeah. I think another big part about the whole show, it also showed the clones. Kind of made you feel for them and realize they were more than just soldiers. Especially, I liked the way they turned it, because the original story was that they just randomly kind of turned and they were always kind of plotting against the Jedi. I mean, if you played Battlefront 2 for the PS2 and Xbox, that's how they kind of made it seem in their story when you played as the clones. But you
gotta realize there were some Jedis that treated clones like dirt.
But then you had some. But that was never really brought up in the Clone Wars very much, and the one that really did ended up getting jailed
and then shot by.
Yeah. He ended up trying to turn to the dark side. But it kind of explains why they would turn on the Jedi just so randomly at the tip of the hat, because they were programmed to.
Yeah, the little chips that come from, like, that was a plot twist. Who discovered it? Was it Fives?
Yeah, it was
like when Fives, Rex, Commander Cody, and Heavy and stuff like that. I was like, man, these guys are really good together. And then when they killed off Fives, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, whoever does the voice acting has great chemistry for all the clones.
Yeah, he knows how to do personalities pretty well.
Makes each of them their own separate person for sure. But it's really cool to see what they did with the series, and then how they tied it in with Star Wars Rebels, which, I mean, it got better near the end, but it started off kind of really a kid's show.
Yeah, I think that's what Disney were aiming for.
They're both kids shows, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, it's still Star Wars. If you're a fan, you know you're going to watch them.
I feel like when you really think about it, Anakin and Ezra. It's so bad at names. But they kind of feel like they have the same kind of story, like, but one didn't really move to the dark side. Like,
in some ways, I could see what you're saying, yeah.
Because Darth Maul could have easily took him. When he was in the story.
He was much more powerful than Kanan.
Yeah, Kanan.
Yeah. And then, I mean, going forward to The Mandalorian and how they're going to tie some stuff in from the shows to that. That's going to be really cool to see with Ahsoka and...
So they're bringing in Ahsoka.
Yeah, Ahsoka's going to be in it. Apparently so is Boba Fett, because the guy that played Jango and Boba's voice anyway, is going to be in the series. So Boba's not dead, people. Boba is not dead.
Spoiler.
Especially you can survive through a Sarlacc if you ever played the Force Unleashed games. Because, I mean, one of the levels you basically run through a Sarlacc.
Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
That's a hard one.
You can be villain.
I mean, I really like Vader.
You
Just
like Vader?
because, yeah, I mean, you look at him, it's not like original Vader before you knew that he was Anakin Skywalker at
Right.
all. He just, he's so imposing. He's so powerful, especially how they portrayed him in Rogue One at the end there, where he just slaughters. They show his true power and how,
Well, and then you look at the comics that they do.
yeah,
Like it just shows that he's a madman.
yes,
He takes no.
takes nothing from nobody.
Yeah, he takes nothing. So when you really when you look at him, he's like, oh yeah, he should have killed Palpatine earlier.
Yeah, that's why you look back at some of those prequels and you're like, yeah, some of this doesn't make sense. It's a little bit weird.
They should have done another Mandalorian kind of like war, because Dark Side was suppressing them.
That would be cool to see if they, because I know they're doing High Republic for a lot of the books and comics now. That's their next phase of action. It'd be cool to see if we get a movie out of that.
Like Old Republic kind of stuff.
High Republic, which is like young Yoda. It'd be really cool to see, like a young Yoda.
He's like
movie.
900 years old, lived through like.
So he had to live in some of those times.
Like my favorite character is Riven, because like Riven was really cool.
And he is canon now too.
Yeah, and I would hope. For me, he goes from light to dark to light again. But like when he goes back to light, the light side, it kind of like really shut him down a little bit. Like for me,
he's kind of gray. He never really kind of goes back all the way.
When he fought Bane, or who did he fight?
Malik.
Alec?
Malik.
When he fought Malik, he was really cool, and then he got corrupted by the dark side, and he taught the dark side, and then the Rule of Two came on. I was like, man, that man could have been ruling the galaxy for many generations.
Well, he wasn't even there. He wasn't even really there for the Rule of Two. The Rule of Two happened way after even the Old Republic games.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like
because I mean during his time, because he tried to like overthrow the Sith Emperor and everything when there was the whole Sith Empire still. And that would be an interesting story for them to adapt in some way, and I'd expect some changes. And what they should do is have him never take his mask off, never really reveal who he is. Really keep that kind of mystery going.
They kind of did until
they do, unless you played the original Knights of the Old Republic game. Then it's just whoever you chose his face to be.
Yeah, true.
It's kind of still a blank slate, and I know for the Knights of the Republic Online, he kind of kept the mask on whenever he came back into the story.
And then when they killed him off, like that was kind of dumb. But
well, he was dead, but he wasn't dead.
Yeah.
Star Wars is one of those things that there's so much they could really do with it, but they
just bring back Lucas and he'll do everything, you know.
He did the prequels, though.
He didn't.
Yeah, he did.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did. It was his story. Prequels were still his baby.
They were, but they executed it wrong.
Sequel trilogy was not him at all.
No.
I mean, I think he had some revisions, or he had some review, but I don't think he really got that involved. He sold it to Disney. He made lots of money while doing it, so.
I feel like due to him not winning an Oscar kind of type thing, he kind of like fell out of Star Wars. If you know what I'm saying?
I don't know if that's really the reason, because he did whatever he wanted with it.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, making 3 movies and not getting any, like, credit or, like, reward for it. Like, they were great movies.
I mean, yeah, but I look at that still, and I think some of that, George Lucas just kind of did what he wanted at the same time. He didn't really care for what Hollywood thought. He just
Right.
kind of made the movie, and the story is. That's why, I mean, that's why after he did Star Wars for so long, he eventually started Lucasfilm. He made his own company so he wouldn't have to do what other people told him.
Right. Make your own business so no one can tell you what to do.
Exactly.
You can give suggestions.
Which is, I mean, kind of tangenting off that to another fantastic filmmaker who's kind of done that same thing, Christopher Nolan. I mean, he's got his own company. He does whatever he wants.
What does he make again?
He's the one who did Inception. He's the one who's doing Tenet. He did, what was that one that came out about World War II?
Dunkirk?
Dunkirk.
Yeah, Dunkirk was really good.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. To see the 3 timelines. So you have the on the beach timeline, and then the timeline where they leave
On
3
the
days
boats.
before, and then like 30 minutes, like 30 minutes
Yeah,
before.
it was 10 days till evacuation, a week till evacuation, 2 hours till evacuation.
Right, and I thought that was like a cool concept because it really showed you the story of each.
Yeah, and it blended them all together to kind of show you what was going on in each of their minds. And if you followed along, you could actually figure it out fairly well. I mean,
Right.
I know a lot of people complained when it first came out, but if you actually pay attention to how these things are working, it's a great way to tell the story.
It is a great.
Gives you an actual timeline instead of just jumping around and thinking it all happened in one day.
What's that new movie that's coming out? Is it 18 something? Like it's that new World War I movie about like 2 guys that have to run across.
1917.
Yeah, 1917. I really want to see that, and I don't know when it comes out.
It's already out. It's been out for a while.
Oh,
yeah.
Man, I really wanted when I saw that in the theaters. When I've seen the commercial for it, I was like, man, it looked like.
I have it. We'll have to watch it.
Oh, okay, cool. So, when another one you should watch is Unbroken. That one's a really good one. If you ever seen it. It's about World War II. It's a World War II, but it's about the Pacific War between America and Japan. And it's about a guy that goes to the Olympics. It's about Olympics like winner kind of type thing.
I think I've heard of it. I can't.
It's the guy that won with the log, the one that has to hold up the log.
I've heard of it. I just don't think I've ever gotten around to seeing it.
That is a really good, fantastic one.
Yeah.
So like you got Unbroken, Saving Private Ryan, Dunkirk,
Band of Brothers.
Band
the
of
whole
Brothers
miniseries is a great way to go.
I've only seen like how many episodes are there? 4?
10.
10?
10 episodes. Yeah.
I've only seen 2.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got to get caught up.
I know.
What I like, it really gets you into the characters there. I mean, I watched the Pacific, at least part of it. It doesn't get you as connected to the characters because it's the Marines versus the Japanese, and there was a lot more going down there, a lot more that passed away, ended up dying.
Yeah, and I agree. And I like those movies that really show you, like World War II and World War I movies, that show you what really happened, like that give you that real feel.
Yeah, it feels real. It captures how it actually was.
They did another good one was The Boy in Striped Pajamas, the book, and then the movie, how they really portrayed.
It's one I never got around to seeing. It's one I was interested in seeing though.
I've seen it for a class assignment. It was like you had to read the book and then give your story, like how you felt about it, kind of thing.
Another good one, Hacksaw Ridge. That was a really good one because I mean it's a little different. It's about a guy who decided not to fight and actually just joined up to save people.
The ending made me heartbroken, like due to him like blowing his leg up when he kicked the grenade.
He lived. But
I know that
he sacrificed himself so he could protect his
unit,
his fellow soldiers. Yeah,
his unit, boy.
I mean, that's things like that are what makes good movies.
Right. So the new movie Tenet that Christopher Nolan is making.
Yeah.
What's it about?
From what I've gathered, it seems to be about a couple guys in a organization that are trying to stop a war. but the way they do it, they manipulate time in a way. From the reviews I've seen, it's really good. It kind of gets that Christopher Nolan feel where it's big, it's daunting, but at the same time, it's non-linear.
It's that more like your mindset kind of thing feel.
Yeah, you gotta think while you're watching it. It's enjoyable, but you gotta think what's going on.
Right. When we watched Inception, I thought that was like the human subconscious.
Yeah.
Like when you sleep and you dream. I thought that was a cool concept.
Oh yeah, I mean that was a great movie. I mean, Christopher Nolan has done a great job with just about everything he's done. I mean, The Dark Knight was one of the most critically acclaimed superhero movies because even though it was a superhero movie, it also captured the realism.
The real darkness
how it
of
would
Batman.
feel to be in that universe.
To be in Batman's shoes, you know?
Yeah. And I mean, the great thing about him too is the use of the use of his special effects. Yeah.
Right. Not like
he doesn't use CG as much.
Not like Michael Bay with all those
explosions.
Overrated. I
was never overrated. Really a fan of the Transformer movies.
I watched the first one. I thought that was not bad. But like, and then you get into the second, third, and then the Bumblebee movie. Well, like, even though Bumblebee wasn't made by Michael Bay.
Entertaining to some extent, but it was really just kind of bleh. They weren't exciting.
The first one was good. To see like the Transformers.
But
as a child, you know,
the practical effects for Christopher Nolan is what I really love.
Yeah,
because you get Transformers, you get all these CGI guys flopping around everywhere, and you're like, okay.
Christopher Nolan doesn't overstep like what people want to see. You know?
Yeah, because you look at it too. I mean, he in Tenet, he blew up a 747. He got an old 747, crashed into a hangar and blew it up. Instead of using like CGI to do the same effect, he actually got one. Or even in Dunkirk, he actually had those World War II planes and crashed them.
Right, and I feel like doing that, and then you have Mission Impossible with Tom Cruise when he does his own stunts.
Yeah.
And he tried to do the record for holding his breath in that like server tank or whatever it was called.
Yeah.
I never really seen it. I've seen the first 3.
Yeah, I never was really a big fan of Mission Impossible movies.
No.
But I mean, if he wants to do his own stunts, I mean, it makes it more realistic.
Until
he hurt himself, which put him out of commission for a little while.
Right.
He did recover, but he does need to realize he's not a young man anymore.
No, but power to him.
Yeah, more power to him, for sure.
And I feel like doing your own stunts would be way better than having some paid act, like, doubled to do it. Like, I know it's the safest way, but...
I mean, if you did the training, it'd be fun, right?
Right. Like, getting thrown out a window. But then you have to have the procedures of landing, not land on your neck, or on your back.
Cut up by glass or fake glass.
Getting punched.
Getting punched isn't that bad.
Oh, you know what the worst thing is when actors are out of sync with the fight. And then they do it so many times, and it's like, you know what, we're just going to roll with it. It's like the Star Wars where Kylo Ren and Rey were fighting between when they killed Snoke.
Yeah.
Dude, you could tell that they were out of time. So like I think a couple seconds at a time.
I'll have to watch it again. Yeah. I haven't watched The Last Jedi in so long because I just don't have reason to.
No, just look it up. It's you'll tell.
Yeah. Well.
So Tenet is just like give it like.
It's like an action thriller.
Yeah.
And I think it comes out September 3rd. I think places AMC I think is starting to show it because it's starting to open back up. Just as long as people are wearing masks.
So the time travel, or the time effect kind of thing. Like, how does that kind of work?
I have no idea.
Like,
Well,
what you've seen
if
so
I had
far.
to take a guess, it's like they come to a place before something happens, and to them, it's happening forward, but to the people they're doing it to, it's happening backwards. Because the one scene I can think is them going into a room, and there's bullet holes all over the wall, and there's no one in there. And then all of a sudden these soldiers come in, and the bullet holes start filling up, and they're fighting the soldiers kind of backwards.
Right.
So, but like I said, it comes out September 3rd. We're going to have to see it and review it. I think it could be our first review.
Yeah, I feel like I also want to watch Widow. I also want to watch that.
Yeah.
Just hoping that there's going to be great movies. Did you see the new Scooby-Doo movie?
I didn't.
No.
I was not interested.
Nah, same. For being kind of 3D animation, it wasn't bad.
An interesting take on how to do it. Bring it into the 3D era.
Yeah. Wasn't bad. You get to see like how they started, even though they made like another movie.
Even though they had a whole series about how they started and all these other things.
Right.
It's okay. It's there to get money. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to do. It's definitely got their creative side, but it's a lot of it you got to remember is for money.
Right, and I feel like the same way.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh man.
That's why it'd be cool to own your own company. But then you'd also probably have to be a trust fund baby.
Warner Brothers kind of like milked out a lot of stuff, like Scooby-Doo mostly.
Well, and I don't think it helped them in some ways because you heard they're probably selling a few of their studios off. I know they were looking at selling their game studio off to Microsoft.
I did hear about that, and I feel like Microsoft is going to start milking Batman.
Well, if they buy it, I don't think they ever bought it yet.
No, but when they do, like, what else are they going to sell?
Who knows? Because I know they're doing. Rocksteady just released the poster for the Suicide Squad game, and then Gotham Knights is the new Batman game coming out.
Birds of Prey.
The movie?
Yeah,
never saw it.
I never did too.
I
was like,
I lost interest in DC movies after Justice League.
Yeah, Justice League was so much CGI.
I was not impressed. I prefer DC comics, the actual comics, to the movies.
Yeah.
Or I prefer DC comics to Marvel movies or Marvel comics as well.
This is how it goes. Great comics, great animations, terrible movies. Marvel, great comics, animations suck, but their movies are great. So, the live action movies are great.
Well, they put more of their money into the live action movies for sure, and they can actually control. Well, you'd think Warner Brothers has control of all their characters. Disney doesn't even have control over all their characters still. Sony and Universal still own Spider-Man and the Hulk. Spider-Man and Spider-Man villains and the Hulk, respectively. That's why the Hulk hasn't gotten his own movies, because Universal still has rights to that.
Universal's trying to... Dude, when they did the first one, and then they did Incredible when they changed the actors up, I was so mad, because I liked the first Hulk.
Yeah, what's his name? Norton.
Yeah, and then he was like, no, I don't want to do it. And then he moved on to the next. The other actor was pretty good. No, I don't want to do it. And then now we have the Hulk that we have today, and I'm like, no, he's all right.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge Mark Ruffalo fan.
So, like, even though Spider-Man... I think Disney kind of, like, took, like, oh, yeah, you have the rights to Spider-Man, but we're still going to make 2 Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, well, and they had that dispute, last year? But, I mean, they ended up working it out, but they almost lost that deal, and we almost wouldn't get any more Spider-Man.
We're trying to get, like, a Venom Spider-Man.
It'd be great to see them blend those universes, because I know they're doing Morpheus. No, not Morpheus.
Yes.
Is it Morpheus?
Yeah, it is Morpheus. The vampire one, right?
That just makes me think Matrix. But yeah, they're doing
the blue pill or the red pill.
Yes. They're doing the Morpheus movie, And I mean, that looked like it was going to tie into the universe because at the end of the commercial, it had the Vulture.
The Vulture was cool.
Well, Keaton's a good actor. I think he did a good job. He's coming back as Batman too for Justice League movies in the future, which could be interesting. Michael Keaton.
He's the guy that played.
He played Batman. He played Batman in the Tim Burton Batman movies.
Oh, okay.
So there's a lot of interesting stuff that could happen the next few years, but at the same time, we gotta wait and see what happens.
Yeah. You got really good games that are coming out, and then you have some movies. We did talk about some good movies and some bad movies, even though like
this is all our opinion. None of this is facts, so you can form your own opinions on what we've said.
Yeah, opinion-based kind of content, you know.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's a lot to look forward to out there, folks. I mean, check out Cyberpunk if you haven't already. If you haven't already, you might be living under a rock.
Yeah.
Especially if you heard it from us.
Yeah. Hopefully. So this was the Nerd Circuit. My name's Nick.
And I'm Chris. Thanks for listening.